Boss man is having some audio issues that he's got to take care of real quick, and he will join back real shortly. Um, you back? Nope, still no audio issues. You still got audio issues. Sorry. Anyhow, uh, I'm here for him as best as I can. All that are out here watching for him. Um, Once he's got it resolved, he'll be back on with y'all. I'm just his wonderful co-host, and I try my best to keep the show going whenever he's unavailable. I'm not as knowledgeable as he is, um, so hopefully he'll get things going because um, I don't know. We've got a few people here joining us. I don't see any real comments just yet. Um, Tell you, I was having technical issues earlier on my show, so maybe it's just in the air. It's one of them horrible things about a live show. Goes on even with regular TV stuff too. Has for years. Ah, hi Griff. Griff's in the house. My well, well, Griff, how you been? I know you was on my show earlier. I'm glad to see you over here. You said you were gonna come over here today, and well, here I am. Don't know how long I can hang out, but I'll be here as long as I can for a little while. I've got, stuff to take care of myself. I just happened to be watching Boss Man's live, and I seen that there was no audio except for his music was playing. I was like, "Uh-oh, got to help him out." Uh, I live in Oklahoma. That's. I'll definitely tell you that. I live in Oklahoma. I believe he's had to probably reboot his system so that way he can get everything to come back up. And that takes just a little bit, but he will be with us. Oh, hang on one second here. I've got some more people coming in. Um, my goodness. Mm. Yeah, Bossman's having technical difficulties at right now. He's trying to get that taken care of. I guess, as I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, technology's broke right now today. It was messing up for me. Now it's messing up for Boss Man. So, yeah, must be something wrong with it, right? Trying to get something going here. Okay, all right.
Grumpy, what's up?
Well, Fate, the co-host, had to jump in for a minute because the main host, Boss Man's having technical issues, just like I did with my show. So
Ah,
I'm pretty sure once he gets it ironed out, he'll be right up with us. But I was actually, I hadn't really planned on jumping in because I had some things to take care of, but I had to save the day. I mean, I couldn't let my host go down. That's just not right.
right.
He's I
Do
was
you have
listening to
one
the
of these in
show.
your truck?
I actually have a couple of those things
A
around.
nice back scratcher.
Well,
Nothing better.
seeing how there are no actual corners to scratch your back on, yeah, those are very nice to have handy. You are right.
Yeah, so Boss Man's
Let
got
me get to a
technical
few.
difficulties, huh?
Yeah, let me grab a few of these comments coming up. We've got Griff. Griff said hello.
What up, Griff?
Let's see. Hey, Poets, of course, somewhere. He's in the comments.
He's in Canada.
Yeah, obviously. That's a no-brainer. You're
He's
real
using
helpful
Morse
there.
or what do you call that? Smoke signals to send his comments. That in a tin cup with a string.
You're probably right. Let's see here. Griff saying hello to everybody. Here's a new. I haven't seen this gentleman, unless he's been on here. Good evening, everyone. Humberto. He may have been on a past show. Good evening to you, Humberto. Glad you could join. And I don't know if you heard, but the main host, which is Boss Man, is having technical issues.
Is this
he
what
will
we're
be
supposed
with
to be doing
us as
tonight?
soon as possible. Yes, this is the new.
You look like you have an Amish beard,
trend.
by the way. Are you turning butter?
I know.
Are you turning butter?
I'll say this. Shh. Don't tell the bishop. I swear, if you sing that Amish I can't even say it. That
Amish Paradise?
Yeah.
I don't know that song. I know what you're referring to, but I don't know it. It's that Weird Al Yankovic song, right?
It's something. I've heard it a few times. I'm like, really? And then everybody says, yeah, you should make a video like that. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm actually not Amish or Mennonite. I'm actually Scottish. And yes, the Scots actually grow beards.
So are you wearing a skirt?
That look very similar. That is not a skirt. It is a kilt.
Grumpy's walking around his house with a skirt and some skirt and some
a skirt. Wait a minute. A skirt?
A skirt. That's a skirt and kilt mixed together.
I see. That's crazy. Come on now. You're killing me.
Scottish, huh? Wow.
I am. That is actually where my lineage. Surname is actually from, which I will not reveal. Only certain people know.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes. And Griff says hello.
Yeah, hello, Griff. Well, what up? I'm a little bit mixed with everything. Got a lot of Norwegian in me, a little bit of German. I'm kind of all over the board.
Well, in that sense of the deal, then I'm actually a Heinz 57, but like I said, my surname originates from over there in Scotland. So
yeah, I have a very. Go ahead.
I had a great uncle that was actually he was actually with the Scottish Rites, and he would actually dress up in full uniform and everything to go to the meetings and things. So that was kind of awesome.
So he's a cross-dresser, is what you're saying.
Really? You had to go there.
I'm just joshing
Come on,
you.
Fate.
I'm
Come
just
on.
You. Trying to.
I almost hate to make an intro after hearing that coming first.
I know, right?
Up on my screen, and I hear that. Good Lord, people! How did my show going? Good. No, I'm not even going to ask that question. I really am not.
Well, we were just trying to keep people entertained while you were taking care of technical difficulties.
That's the way to do it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Tell me, what is a skilt?
Yeah, skilt.
I'm almost wondering if I can actually compete with that now on my own show.
Right.
Well, to my audience members and everybody watching, I'm sorry we had that. My computer had a major hiccup, and I've heard half the panel can't even log into StreamYard for some reason. I don't know if that's associated with this or not, but I actually had to go in and out of this studio twice, and you guys didn't even see it, just to get my audio working. So I don't know what the heck was working, because it was working fine on your show earlier, Grumpy. And
Yeah, I know.
yeah, all of a sudden it just decided, nope, not today.
That might have
I don't
been
know.
the slight hiccup it had right when I was trying to break in to get in here so I could help you out.
Yeah.
So
Poet said he couldn't get in, and I don't know who else out there. Maybe you can put in the comments, let me know if you've had any trouble, but I'll catch up on those comments here in just a moment or so. But Grumpy, I want to thank you for taking over. Fate, thank you for shaking my truck, because I didn't know anything until you shook my truck. You know, we
my
have to be
goodness.
I was like,
I don't
whoa.
know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Oh, you shook it. Yeah,
I
that's
am
all I'm
not
gonna say.
shaking your truck. Come on now.
Okay, he was already
You made
talking
me
about
aware there was a
skilts
problem. Yeah.
and cross dressing. Come on now,
Yeah.
boss man.
All right now.
Open doors.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Johnny on this show.
I know,
Anyway.
right? It's a good thing.
Let's try and start this show the way it was supposed to have been started.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do the whole music and bore people, but I'm gonna let you guys know I'm trying my damnedest to improve things around here. So let's give you guys a taste of one of the improvements I've made. So hang tight. If that even works. Come on now. Don't argue with me.
The Drive Act is BS. It's pandering.
I think trucking is a very good career.
The best thing you could possibly do is put forth a bill you know has no prayer in it I've ever seen. But I don't like speed limiters.
Majority of the blame is the companies.
We don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
And remember, folks, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, in good fashion, guys. That's the way the show is going to start out on a normal basis. We're going to be talking. One thing I didn't do was adjust the audio. I'll have to work on that for next time. Let's just say I'm a work in progress. Anyway, we're going to talk tonight about a show, about a video that surfaced recently from a local news source. This whole technical difficulty's got my tongue all tied. Our studio lines will open momentarily. I do have a purpose in saying that, because there is a member of the audience I do want everyone in the audience to hear from. He is waiting patiently in the background, as well as everyone else. This channel is run by truckers helping you guys. I spot stories that help to make trucking great again. I let you guys know about it. I do that with the idea that we can make trucking great again. Look, guys, you're involved in a crash. You're in shock. You're disoriented. You would think that law enforcement and or emergency professionals are trained to recognize those facts. But in the state of Virginia, from what I understand, this did not happen. This took a whole different turn. And we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. We're going to ask a couple of important questions, because as everything goes, I debated and I talk with you, because you know what? You need to know some good and some bad. So out of this, I want to make some suggestions on things that I've looked up and I've researched that might help you kind of avoid this kind of situation. So we'll talk about that as well. A couple of other news stories have come up, and if Grumpy and Fate, you'll give me just a moment and give me a second to get caught up. Just let you guys know, the weekend news. 2 stories caught my eye. Trump's tariffs could crush U.S. trucking industry, says Reuters. Truckers, as we all know, the politics play a huge role in our industry. Well, because of this, now new Trump tariffs are going to go through, and the economy and the freight market could be in for a wild ride, according to Reuters. Tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada could put even more pressure on an industry that's already struggling. So think about that. Higher costs, disrupted routes, and potentially fewer loads moving across North America. What do you guys think of that? And that's just a tease. Either one of you two? You got anything? Is that
That's
headline or not? I mean, it's a headline, so I figured I'd ask you guys. Yeah,
that's a mouthful right there.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, I haven't really looked and researched the story. I just saw the headline, but you never know.
It's not gonna go either way.
How do you figure that?
If you just take political affiliation out of it,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How much extra money does the average person have right now?
Nothing. I can tell you that firsthand.
Okay.
The average person
Understanding what a tariff is a tax that is going to be put on the consumer goods.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to pay that tax?
It always
The
trickles
consumer.
down obviously, it always trickles down to the consumer.
Right.
Yep.
You know, the big story right now is eggs. You know, I can speak on this a little bit. So do you know now that you travel to the Midwest quite a bit, boss man, you see that the Quick Trips with a K, right?
Yep.
Okay, those are fantastic stores, right?
Yeah.
Their eggs this time last year were
Right.
99 cents for a dozen. They're $6.99 right now.
They're more than that in some of the retail food grocers.
So-
My daughter called me the other day and said it was almost $9 in her local grocery store down in Georgia.
So we're Cub Foods, which is the old Super Value. That's a big thing where I live in Minnesota. They're $8 there. Those prices aren't going away.
Mhm.
That is something that we are going to have to learn to deal with.
Yep.
Well, while at the same time, wages, we're talking about inflation. I mean, that's
Right.
what we're talking about here.
Yep, that's part of it.
Do you think the average American can withstand an additional, whatever it is, an additional amount of tax put onto a product? My answer to that is no.
No.
Which means it's basically a reset on our economy, right?
Yep.
And you can say that's a good thing or a bad thing, however you want to look at it. It is going to be a reset on our economy, and it's going to change things. You can make an argument it's going to change things for the better. You can make an argument that it's going to change it for the worse. That's not what I'm talking about here.
Right.
What I'm talking about is every time there is a big economical switch, the consumers stop spending. You have the housing
they
crash.
hold back. Yeah, they hold back. Exactly.
You're going to have a stock market that weakens. So this will directly affect us. 100%.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. They've already stopped taking steel orders. China has already said we're not sending the U.S. steel. So now these steel companies, like if you haul these big rolls of steel and stuff like that, I used to haul structural steel. That steel now is going to be coming in from India, right?
Right.
It's not a good quality. It's going to be more expensive. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Now India is able to charge us more than they typically would, which is going to increase the prices across the board on everything.
It is indeed. Going to bring on Thumper and Poet joining us, finally figuring out your technical difficulties. Thank you for joining our show tonight. I'm sorry to everybody in the office and in the panel and even in the audience for the problems we had.
Sorry, it's not your fault.
No, it happens. That's show business, as they say.
Hey, Faye.
Go ahead, Thumper.
They need to fire up the steel mills back up in Michigan.
They need to
Thumper,
fire
I
up
so
the steel
agree.
mills
I so agree
everywhere.
with you. The problem is you have to think about why they went away. Like that's
People
what
don't want to work.
No, it's not that. We outpriced ourselves. The unions destroyed us.
For how long
and I was
did
a
it
union
take?
guy.
How long did it take for the steel to go from being made domestically to being shipped in from, what was it, Taiwan, I think? They flooded our market with steel. They flooded us with cheap grade crap, I might add, for like 2 or 3 years. Everybody was complaining about it.
No, more than that. More than that.
Huh? Well, maybe, I don't know. I remember hearing the stories, and that's why a lot of the mills closed, and a lot of the mills in Pennsylvania also closed for the same reason. Go ahead, babe. Sorry.
This idea.
Mhm.
How do I say this? Because once again, this isn't.
It's not political.
This has no political affiliation attached to it.
Yeah.
A reset to do what Thumper said is something I would love to see, right?
Yep.
I would love to see that happen. The reset that we will all have to go through for that to happen is something that we can't afford. Unless you want to go back to living in shacks, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
We, the consumers, have driven businesses out of here. And our politicians have allowed it to happen.
Yeah. Most of them have. And gladly endorsed policies that brought it on. So yeah, I agree.
So
all right, let me catch up on some comments here real quick, because I noticed when I came in after my technical issues, there was a bunch of them. So I want to recognize Umberto. I put his comment up earlier. Welcome to the show. If you haven't already done so, please go down and subscribe. I'm looking to gain my numbers. You know, that was another update I kind of skipped over, hence the, other technical issues I had. I'm at 742 subscribers currently, and I'm looking to get up to 1,000 as quickly as possible. I have my reasons. My watch hours are up there. You guys are liking the content. You guys are sending me and YouTube both positive signals for that. I thank you. So keep up the good work. Let's move on to some other comments here. What's up, folks from Louisiana? Mardi Gras in the house. All right, 7 C's. Enjoy it.
7 C's. Hold on real quick. 7 C's. How the hell are you, man?
Yeah.
I tried getting a hold of you a couple of times. I hope everything's good with you. Nice to see you in here.
Yep, there he is. Yep. So I'm glad you're here, and along with that, glad everybody else is tilt in your kilt, Grumps, poet. That was cute, poet. Dan Bacon, if I'm reading that right, I butcher names, bear with me. Get ready for a rough ride. I guess talking what you were talking about a minute ago, Faye. Yep, so yeah, it's going to be a rough ride. When it comes to finances, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So let me get to the next headline I wanted to talk about. I only got 2 tonight, not 3, because Lord knows I took long enough getting everything straight. TFI International abandons U.S. move after investor backlash.
What?
All right. TFI International, one of the biggest trucking companies out there, just backed off plans to move their headquarters to the U.S.
Oh, TFI.
Why?
Okay.
Hold on, Paul. Let me finish reading here. Their investors weren't having it. TFI claimed that since 70% of their business is already in the U.S., it made sense to shift their base. But when the money people started pushing back, they folded. So here's the real question. Is this just a case of corporate indecision, or does this signal something bigger? And do you think it has anything to do with what we've been talking about, Faye? So what do you guys think? TFI International, they made a big story about, what was it, 2 weeks ago? They wanted to go cross-border, come back into the U.S. Now we're seeing that happen.
TFI owns a lot of trucking companies down here. One of their biggest companies they own actually is CFI, and then they also own parts of UPS. Not all of it, but parts.
UPS Freight.
Yeah, could be. Yep.
Okay, so may I?
Go ahead.
So TFI is a Canadian-based company. They wanted to follow the money, which is fine.
Right.
Out west here in Western Canada, there are a lot of people that want to join the USA is the 51st state, but the eastern part of Canada, which is where TFI is located, it doesn't want any part of it.
Right.
So their investors from back east are saying, no, go ahead, fight.
Understand what that is. That's a mineral rights issue.
Right.
All this talk about Canada becoming a 51st state,
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't believe it for a minute, but
Right.
It's a mineral thing.
Okay.
Canada's an untapped country.
Yeah.
I mean,
They've
it's
got a
such
lot of
big
natural
country.
resources.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
such a big country with such a low population.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I mean?
Yep.
It is.
But
I'm gonna get back for just a minute. I'm gonna give people the update 860-785-3547. The one in the audience I earlier spoke to, Thomas. If you'd give me a call on that line, I'd like to have the audience hear about your story, sir. 860-785-3547. That line is also for anybody in the audience who wants to join in on this conversation and be part of solutions rather than just sitting down taking it. Give us a call. Let us know your thoughts. Go ahead, Poet. Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, Fate, if you had any idea how many Western Canadians want to join the USA as the 51st state, and this has nothing to do with the minerals or anything else or the oil, okay, we want to join as the 51st state.
Hold on, let me ask this poet. What does
Yes.
the price in tea in China have to do with anything?
Sorry, what?
No, we're veering off subject.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, in other words, what he's asking, Poet, is what this has to do with the TFI story. The fact that 51st state argument's been there, it has nothing to do with TFI, I think is what Thumper's trying to get at.
The reason that TFI went back on their, we're going to move to the USA is because their investors are saying, nah, we're pro-Canadian. We don't want nothing to do with the USA.
Well, that meets 90% of the investors in Canada, so I don't think that was why. I think there was another strategic decision that they made based on that. I don't think it had anything to do with that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Faith. Go ahead.
Faith.
There's other things to take. I don't know anything about this, so I'm not pretending to be a wizard at this.
Yeah.
But you're talking about two different countries that have two different labor laws, that have many different things that, like they might have looked at, like you bring up the money people, transferring their headquarters to the United States would mean all their employees are then based out of the United States, which might mean their pay needs to change. They have to have certain insurances that they might not have to carry in Canada. Once again, I don't know the Canadian law. I'm just saying, like.
But these are good points you're bringing up. There could be a lot to it. I mean, it's a basic story, and as I recall, I want to make sure I get my facts straight. This one was in Wikipedia and Market Reports, so it's two different sources there. So,
okay,
I will look up links. I don't have links to these two headlines, but I will put them down in the description of the video after the live is over. I do have the story that we're going to focus on here momentarily. That is in the link already. But that's a pretty good one. And we're 32 minutes into the show, so I'm going to move on to that very story right now. I think it's a good idea because that's what everybody tuned in for on the thumbnail. So let me give you the basic rundown as to what happened. Okay, trucker winds up getting into an accident, hits an SUV on a main street in Wytheville, Virginia. Okay, he's involved in this accident. Police are called, and instead of receiving immediate medical attention, The police questioned him over and over for over 2 hours at the scene and try to assess whether or not he's intoxicated. Because apparently, according to the original reporting officer, the guy was very disoriented, and he claims that he thought the guy exhibited signs that he was under intoxication from drugs or alcohol. So they reportedly delayed or ignored medical treatment. And this, according to a recent lawsuit filed. But the lawsuit is based on a lot of information. So instead of trying to go on memory, I got a video prepared. I want to play it. I want you guys to see the report filed by Target 7 News on this whole story. I think it opens everyone's eyes to a couple of things, which I'll touch on as soon as the video finishes. So let's get the video.
This way.
Are you driving this tractor trailer?
Yeah.
April 26th, 2023, William Heim, a 54-year-old truck driver from Kentucky, crashes into an SUV on East Main Street in Wytheville. Sergeant Zachary Puckett with the Wytheville Police Department arrives on the scene. He begins to question Heim, who is clearly disoriented about the crash.
And you can barely speak. You're not making any sense at all.
Puckett suspects Heim is under the influence.
All right, partner. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to be honest with me, okay? Honesty goes a long way with me. What type of drugs are you using?
Puckett also asks if Heim has any mental or physical disabilities, and Heim says no, before asking again about drugs.
Be honest with me. What's going on with you? Huh? Never used meth, anything like that?
And a few minutes later, he asks about drugs again. But not once in the 48 minutes of body camera video obtained by Target 7 does Puckett ask if Heim, who just wrecked his tractor trailer, is injured or wants to see a doctor. Puckett gives Heim a series of cognitive tests.
Okay, go ahead and tilt your head back for me.
And then a breathalyzer test.
Blow, 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 blow.
Court documents show Heim blew a .01, which is well under Virginia's legal limit of .08. He's given a universal drug screening, which his attorneys say came back completely negative. His blood draw showed he had no alcohol or drugs in his system. He's taken to the New River Valley Regional Medical Center, where he's finally diagnosed. He's not drunk. He's not high. Doctors say he had a stroke. Heim was transferred to Lewis Gale Medical Center in Salem, where the stroke was confirmed nearly 30 years after he first had it. It says Heim suffered, quote, extensive and permanent, and that he's been placed under a guardianship and requires assistance for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in order to survive.
All right, there's some pretty weird stuff, but let me move into the obvious. Obviously, you can tell from the end of that newsreel, a lawsuit has been filed. So the question is, why is he suing? He claims it was mistreated. Trucker alleges the police violated his rights by prioritizing interrogation over medical care. Failure to provide medical assistance, where he should have been checked for injuries first and not treated like a criminal. And potential misconduct, which the lawyers then threw in after the fact. But it raises questions about our treatment at accident scenes for obvious reasons. But then also, you got to juxtapose it to what the professionals' jobs are. They need to assess if there's danger, but at the same time, assess what the problem is. So are we now holding all cops to a higher standard, or is it just this one scenario or one case? Let me know in the comments what you think. But it does highlight the importance of knowing yourself, but also your rights. And another question that we're going to touch on too is, could this set a precedent that makes it even harder for us truckers? Let me know in the comments what you think. Call our studio line 860-785-3547. I think this is a very valid topic to talk about. And I don't know about you, but I am exactly as old as that man in the video. I mean, I'm 54 too. I could suffer any number of issues at any point in time. And my thinking as I'm watching this news footage, what if that were me? If that were me, would I have the confidence of knowing that there are medical professionals out there trained to know or realize what the symptoms of stroke are? And do we necessarily blame the cops? What do you guys think?
So Grumpy and I talked about this earlier today.
Sure.
Grumpy, you want to tell us what Oklahoma law says?
Well, you're the first one to speak. Why don't you? No, go ahead, Grumpy.
Basically, you're supposed, well, all of our law enforcement are supposed to be trained that if it looks like there's something medically needed, to immediately contact EMS and have them brought on scene while they're doing an evaluation, so that way they can have the paramedics double check to make sure that they're okay or not.
Exactly.
If the paramedics feel that there's something wrong, then they will let the officer know, look, this person needs to be transported to a facility and be checked out further.
Right. Yeah.
Because I guess something similar to this has happened. I don't know that it happened with a truck driver, but it's something similar to this as you know, flared that attention. That's one reason why they do that.
Yeah. And by the way, 7 C's, this is free soda, by the way. Just saying. Just picking.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just pick back on the audience.
The reason I asked Grumpy to tell us what Oklahoma says is that not all states or provinces are required to get EMS onto a scene of an accident, whether it's injury or not.
Well, if my daughter were here, I'm sure she would probably argue there's a fine line on that one, because
I could argue on that one.
Well, she's got training in certain EMS protocols, and it might not be an accident that requires medical treatment, but you got to go through the medical situation to get a blood draw anyway.
Well, hold on.
You know,
I'm a first responder back home.
Okay, go ahead, though.
Every accident that I know in the surrounding states that I am, and Fate can vouch for this one because he lives in the same state I do.
Right, right.
Your police department, your firefighters, EMTs, first responders, they all have to go through that training. They have to look at the signs. When I was sitting there watching that video, I saw the signs, but it wasn't him being drunk.
No.
You sit there, his mouth was barely moving. He was very slow to react. Everything else, which
highly slurred speech.
That can be taken as drugs or alcohol.
Good.
But
Yeah,
the guy, the police officer, had it in his mind that, hey, there's
got a score.
There's some. This guy's on something. He didn't look at the other fucking signs. Sorry, it kind of pisses me off when this gets brought up like that, because
Don't worry. I'm going to turn this into a positive. Go ahead, Fate. Go ahead.
So Thumper is 100% correct.
Yeah.
I went to school for law enforcement. That's what I went to college for, right?
Didn't know that.
I was trained to be a first responder. That every police officer is a trained first responder. And I will never forget sitting in one of my classes, which was my emergency response class, where we had a professor that talked about when you come to a scene, there could be a person displaying signs of drug use, alcohol use. And back then, the big thing was this person could be having a diabetic episode. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where they will even smell like they've been drinking, but
Yes, and
they haven't been.
That's one of the things that that was one of the things I was touching on with Poet on there and Bossman as well. Whenever this story came about, is I'm diabetic, and if my sugars are too high, and say I was that guy and I had an accident, and they do a breathalyzer on me, it's going to come back that I've been drinking, even though that I didn't. So obviously they're going to have to do more tests to find out. But like you were saying a while ago, they're supposed to be trained and knowledgeable enough that if they feel something is not right, the first thing they need to do is call paramedics and have them come and do another further evaluation.
Exactly.
And then if they say, hey, let's send them to facilities so they can get checked out more because we can't do it out here, then they need to listen to
with
them.
any accident. With any accident, first responders, besides the police, first responders are dispatched out. So my question is the problem didn't just lie on the officer. The problem lied on dispatch.
Well, as far as the problem is, its origin. That's part of the argument. The other thing is, I'm under the impression that when you are suspect of you're a cop. Okay, let me word this correctly. You're a cop and you suspect somebody's impaired driving. The first thing you want to rule out, obvious, is the most easiest to rule out on scene. Breathalyzer and FSTs are usually recommended too. Field sobriety tests. If you can determine with relative quick pace or short time that they're not drunk, you then need to pursue what else is wrong. If the guy says, in this case, the guy was asked several times, and that wasn't in the report, but he was asked several times anything about drugs, and he said no. That clearly came out of his mouth several times. No, never done it. Don't do it. Wouldn't that then lead someone down a path? Okay, is there a medical issue? Because I don't remember if it was in this report, but the man sat in a detention cell for 27 hours.
And it was 30 hours before he got actually diagnosed.
That guy could have died.
You're totally.
Go ahead, Faye. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
You're totally going to make fun of me on this panel. That is an absolute sign of somebody's civil rights being thrown to the wayside.
Oh,
I hope this lawsuit turns out to be one of these $400 million lawsuits. I honestly hope that.
Just so your hopes aren't dashed when you finally do read it, it's only 10 million. Yeah. He's now, it's now a case of precedent but care. That's it, because now he's under full guardianship and cannot care for himself.
Fake.
I guess they feel that it's worth $10 million, but
Fake, where do you get the oh God, what is it you just mentioned? Civil rights deal from?
Oh, I think
are you presumed innocent or guilty when you are arrested?
That depends on where you're at.
Here in America, Poet, I don't care if they catch you with the weapon in your hand and you have blood all over your clothes. You are presumed innocent.
Innocent until proven
guilty.
But here's the deal.
You also cannot be denied medical help inside if you're arrested and you take medication for blood pressure, any one of these things, they have to provide that for you. And if you are not capable of saying it yourself, there's advocates that work for you.
Also not in the report, the only reason he received 27 hours later medical attention was because the inmate or the victim's sister called up to the jail and said, I'm worried, get him help. She insisted that he get checked out. That's the only reason they did that. So that speaks volumes to that police department. I mean, large volume.
Can you mute for 2 seconds, please?
Oh, shut up.
Well, no, it's the birds too.
Yeah. I got it.
All right, Fate.
What?
So you're right. It's innocent until proven guilty. But the way the
Yeah.
police department handles everything, you're guilty until proven innocent now. That's just the way the world works now.
And that's what I'm saying. Your civil rights are thrown out the window.
Oh yeah,
That
as
you
soon as
just
they
proved
start.
it to me.
Oh yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. Is what
Yep.
I'm saying. Is I'm like
Oh.
100% agreeing with you. But the way the world works now is before they even start questioning you, you're in the wrong. And
You
that's
make my
like
job easy. Thumper, you make my job easy. I had that as question number one. Are police automatically assuming truckers are guilty when an accident happens?
dude,
Some
you get
say yes.
they
We're
pull you
treated like
over for a traffic violation,
Yep.
which you could have been in the wrong, but at the same time, it could have been
Yeah.
the vehicle next to you speeding, and they just
Could have
happened to
been.
say, "Hey, you're a truck driver. I'm going to pull you
Yep.
over." They just automatically assume that. Why
Yep.
do you think? Why do you think a lot of these
Good
trucks
eye,
nowadays with
Grumpy.
these
Good eye,
accidents and
Grumpy.
everything have dash cams, have this and have
Yep.
that? Like my trucks have GPS,
Yep.
so
Yep.
if they get a speeding ticket, even though they weren't speeding, we
Right.
have the GPS to prove it.
Yeah, you almost have to nowadays. Griff says if we were like a DOT if it were like a DOT officer, he thinks he knows what the law means to him, no matter how stupid or way off he might be. Maybe he's always right.
The DOT officer
yeah.
could screw your day up if you have if you disrespect them. Simple as that.
That's very true. Yeah, yeah.
They have the final say,
Unfortunately,
which that's a whole different
Yeah.
subject for another day.
Well, no, it's actually pertinent to this conversation. I mean, in a really screwy way, the police hold a lot of power. So you would think in a situation similar to what the dude in Wytheville went through, they would have the ability to use that power for the right reasons. You know, dude had a crash. So why did he crash? They thought he was drunk. Okay, he blew a .01. That's not legally drunk. That's just probably from eating lunch, for God's sakes. You know, was he on drugs? No, he wasn't on drugs. Okay, so then what happened? That power is given you for a reason. Find out what that reason was. You know, that's what I'm saying. Second question, should there be a national law requiring immediate medical care or trucks after or checks for trucks involved in accidents? Think about it. As a trucker, we're immediately required with most companies. I don't know any that are different, but we're immediately required if we're involved in an accident to get a drug test. So shouldn't the same be required of the police to do certain things a certain way to eliminate the possibility of there being a medical problem?
That kind of goes back to what I said earlier, boss man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I currently isn't
for police department and everybody else is supposed to have that EMT training, and generally in an accident, your first responders, which is the fire department, get dispatched out along with the police.
Yep. Guilty and then proves it. Steve and Umberto agrees with that. I'm glad you're still part of the conversation. Glad. Just a reminder, guys, go down and hit the like button. You know, I'm trying to grow this channel, become something you guys can rely on. I mean, think about it. If there's a requirement for us to get tested if an accident happens, I think there's a requirement for EMTs or police or anybody responding to do things a certain way. I mean, whether that's the case, I don't know. Hearing what you're saying, Thumper, yeah, you guys are trained in EMT and as first responders to act a certain way. But apparently, as we can see, not everybody acts that way. So, here's a good one. This one will tickle you, Fate. If this trucker wins the lawsuit, do you think it'll change how we're treated? Some say, yeah, it could set a legal precedent that forces law enforcement to change their approach. Others say, no, one lawsuit won't change anything. It'll just, it'll be necessary for us to keep pushing. And, so what do you guys think?
No, we're just idiots. We're just idiots driving 80,000-pound wheel machines down the road and think we own the place. It's not gonna. One lawsuit's not gonna change anything.
Just like with any other law enforcement, you give them a gun, you give them a badge, and then that's the end of it.
Okay, if it's not going to change anything, what are lawsuits for?
Oh, it'll be there. There'll be a lawsuit, and it'll be handled, and it'll become possible law. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I've ran across the good, the bad, and the ugly, more or less.
I
And
mean, we've talked about quite a few lawsuits on this channel. In fact, I mean,
You want to
think
know
of all
why?
the
You want to know
think
why
about
there's
all
lawsuits? Because
what.
everybody is sue happy and money hungry. That's all it is.
So
They
you
want
think
to
it's
find.
just the money?
They want
You
to
don't
find.
think there's
No,
you
they
think it's
want
just
to.
the money? You don't think there's any need to change a precedent or change a standard? You don't think
No,
think
no.
that
Everybody is sue happy. Everybody wants to find the cheapest way to make $1 million, and that's
right,
what the world has come to. Is everybody
okay,
suing everybody?
right?
I partially agree with you on that. But the other part that tells me is okay, in this example, this fine example,
Right.
this gentleman is now bedfast, more or less. I mean, he's not going to be able to do much. He can't
Yep.
provide for his family if he has one at home. So I understand where they're going. I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of agree with Fate. $10 million, that's just a slap in the face. That's only going to help for a little
Oh
while
yeah,
take care of this gentleman.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's not gonna do much for the family, but you know,
No.
it might help pay for his medical care.
In his case, it's different. But every other lawsuit that you see out there, it is. It's just a way to somebody to make other money. But there are some lawsuits out there that are there to prove a point, and it'll be. I can almost guarantee it. As soon as the lawsuit's done, I give it a week after that lawsuit's done. We won't hear about it ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
How do you figure it's different?
Because he's practically a vegetable. He needs that money for one.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's a vegetable. So $10 million for his medical care or his family or anybody else to look after him, okay? 10 million ain't gonna cover it.
No.
And I haven't seen anything about pain, suffering, and all the rest of that BS. It's the guy should have sued for 100.
Well, that's just it. It's not the guy himself that's actually doing the lawsuit. It's his
No, I know.
family,
I know.
his now caretakers.
Probably his sister. I think his sister was the
Yeah.
one that actually got the help. But yeah, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it goes back to my earlier question. Not every lawsuit is money related. I think there are a lot of lawsuits that have the intent of trying to change something that doesn't quite fit or doesn't work within it's something needs changing, obviously. As in the case
Yes.
with the Wabash thing. That was a
Oh, yeah.
large suit. Okay. But what was the purpose behind it? It was because they felt like standards at the time of the crash were insufficient. So what came out of it? They upped their standards. It took a lot of money. That money was punitive as a result of the number of years that they ignored the problem, which was why it was so high.
Right.
But, you know, we got safer trailers now. But, you know, that's but one example. I mean, I could name 100 different lawsuits that there's always a change behind it.
Fate.
The money makes it happen. Go ahead.
Fate had something to say.
Go ahead.
No, it was
Jell
Fate.
Show. I know. Go ahead. Just saying, Jell Show.
You know, I really support, you know, our law enforcement and you know, I've definitely had my run-ins with them and have had good experiences and bad experiences. But I do support the men and women that are out there. I think this was a very isolated incident, hopefully, that was handled wrong.
I
I
agree. I
I'm
hope
not
so too.
trying, you know, I think the police officer needs better training. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what this lawsuit will require.
Well,
is
whether it's the
certain
officer,
training.
or whether it's just the department. I mean, my whole thing on the whole, you just even talking about the show. I don't want to down police. I mean, because police are basically our lifeline when we're stuck in snowdrifts, when we're involved in problems in truck stops with lot lizards that just won't leave us alone, or any problem that you can come up with where our lives are in danger. They are the man. They are there.
What
They
truck
do their
stops
job.
are you going
Can I
to?
hang out at your truck stops, please? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Oh crap! That's what
they are
I'm
the
wondering.
man. When we need them, they're there. So this isn't a let's bash police moment. This is okay. What's wrong with the system that needs fixing? Because obviously, this was a case where had the right things been done, the man wouldn't have the problems he has. And I look at this just like I opened the story with. I look at this and I thought, God, what if this were me? I'm his age. You know, I could someday suffer these same kind of problems. I
Well,
would love to know somebody's out there trained to recognize, okay, that's a, and my father, classic example, the man suffered 3 mini strokes before he died. And everybody that was around him, thankfully, knew the signs when it happened. Just like that.
The police could have got out of a lawsuit if he actually would have did his training and called EMT right away. They would have never gotten that lawsuit. But
Yeah.
like I said, that goes back to the whole thing. That cop was on a mission because he saw somebody who showed signs of something else instead of actually doing his job.
Some cops are on this, let me get a bust. And others are on this, okay, what's wrong with this picture? So it really depends a lot on how they're trained. And I think even more, it depends on their personal experience with people in the public too. Go ahead, Grumpy.
It kind of makes me wonder because we don't know everything to the story, but I'm not siding with the officer either because he could have been in that neighborhood and just happened to be doing his patrol, didn't get a call or nothing, but saw the accident and decided to intervene. Well, he still, even with intervening, he should immediately call into dispatch, let them know where he was at, what was going on, and ask them for EMS, fire truck. Because we don't know that truck ain't going to catch on fire or he ain't hauling hazmat. I mean, there's a lot to it.
Part of the problem with
that. Hold on. How can you not pick sides after hearing the story that the guy was put in jail and he sat there for how freaking long before he got medical? That is the cop determined to find something else wrong than facing reality.
That's
what I just said. I wasn't siding with the cop.
Who were you?
No. You said you weren't going to side on either side.
Well,
the proof is
I
right
withdraw
there.
that part. Then I mean, I wasn't gonna actually take sides with that law enforcement.
Yeah, Thumper knew where I was gonna go. Good eye, Thumper. But I mean, think about it. Just like I said earlier, it's not all bash the police. I mean, because you know what, the way that officer was trained, unfortunately, needs improvement, and it cost somebody their livelihood. Obviously, the man can't work now because of it. But I mean, it's also an eye-opener for everybody else. And where I'm concerned, it's an eye-opener for everybody watching the show. If you tune in on the replay, comment below. Do you think this is something to worry about? Do you feel like you're in good hands? If something like that were to happen to you, what goes through your mind? Because I'll tell you what goes through mine. Health has got to be my number one priority. And it's got to be something I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to close the show out with a couple of good tips. So stay tuned to hear that. But I mean, think about it. If I lose that battle, who's going to catch me when I fall? I'm on the road.
Very good point.
I'm alone. I have no one to depend on other than the close friends that know me. But you guys aren't on the phone with me 24/7. I could have a problem just like that. I'd like to know somebody's trained to see these kind of things.
When you go missing for 24 hours, you freak the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, I do, don't I? Yeah.
That was mentioned earlier.
That's why I'm not dwelling on that one, because somebody's probably watching that's going to sit there in the comments and say, yeah, babe.
And by 24 hours, it's too late. Even by 6 hours, it's too late.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
the
like
only
what
bad,
I like.
the only bad thing is, yes, you got somebody to rely on you on something like that, but people are used to me disappearing for a couple days on end.
Yeah. Well, it's common if people are used to it and it happens all the time. It's easy. But with me, at that point, it was something that nobody was, and really, I mean, I was talking with everybody about once a day, but my wife and I, we talk several times a day. And
I'm gonna
that one
strangle those
particular day,
birds.
I'm muting you for a minute because your birds are driving me nuts now. That one particular day, she tried calling me repeatedly over and over and over. And I was just sitting here getting asleep. I mean, because I'd been up driving the night before. And she just blowing my phone up. Then she blows up Grumpy's phone. Then she blows up John. And I don't know how you got involved in that one, Thumper, but I think you eventually did too. But
I got involved because I had Grumpy, I had John, and I had Larry calling me, ask if I heard from you.
yeah. But anyway, I digress. Griff USMC says you're the professional driver, whether you're at fault or not, it's always your fault. And unfortunately, that goes to what Thumper was saying a short time ago. I mean, sometimes these cops do go after circumstances with the idea of getting a score. That's unfortunate. There are those out there. I would hope we have a way of weeding them out, and it not cost somebody $10 million. I think it's ridiculous that people are trained.
I got a cop fired.
Did you?
Yeah, he kept going after my trucks. And finally,
I think I remember you saying that. Do you want to enlighten the audience?
Huh?
You want to enlighten the audience, or?
So I had a truck have an accident, and it wasn't his fault. It really wasn't. It was actually the road construction's fault because they had just laid oil down, and then it rained, and the roads became pretty much like black ice. So he tipped he jackknifed so hard that the fifth wheel broke off of the truck trailer laid on the side, but it also punctured the fuel tank, and yeah, it's a big mess. But anyways,
wow, yeah.
He kept pulling my trucks over. Well, I just happened to get a load going right through that area, and he pulled me over, which I was in the wrong. I did it on purpose because I knew he was sitting there. I blew the weigh scale.
Yeah.
I did it on purpose. I saw the sign. I saw it said come in. I purposely did it.
Yep.
And he came up there and started writing me tickets, started saying I did this, started saying I did that. And little did he know, I have a GoPro.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I got it going. It was recording the entire time. And in the GoPro, the footage that I submitted to, which will be coming out on YouTube shortly because this whole thing's just about done.
Oh, good.
And the GoPro, you could hear me clearly saying, I am blowing this scale to get this officer to pull me over because I'm tired of him harassing my guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he started saying all this other stuff. He actually opened my passenger door, reached in the passenger seat, which luckily Bo doesn't bite anybody.
Yeah, thank God, right?
But he reached in and grabbed all my paperwork out of my hand without a warrant. And I didn't voluntarily give it to him. But then finally, after he did his whole little thing and wrote me up about $10,000 worth of tickets, I said, okay, we'll see you in court. By the way, I'm the owner of this company. And his face went blank. I shut the door and I left.
Good for you.
So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. But
especially if you know you're in the right.
But do it with respect. As
right.
soon as you start getting disrespectful, that just opened up a whole new door that they could get you at.
Yep. Exactly.
Like I said, I waited until I got all my tickets and everything else. And when I said, okay, we'll see you in court on all this stuff, by the way, this whole thing was recorded on the GoPro on the dash. He tried taking those tickets out of my hand. I said, nope, you already gave them to me. And I shut the door and left.
Yeah. Thomas Barb, if you are in the audience watching this show, give us a call on our studio line, 860-785-3547. This is my attempt to pay you back, my friend. I want others to hear your story, so I think it'll do them some good. So I'm going to give you about another 5 more minutes. If you're in the audience watching and you can grab your cell phone and give us a call, we'd certainly like to give you some airtime, my friend. I'd like others to hear about your story and what inspired you to come up with this shirt. I'd like that story to be told. While we're waiting on this, let me just offer my 2 cents. We've talked about the law enforcement side of this. You know, we can't really, as truckers, do a whole lot about law enforcement. They're either going to be trained and trusted or they're not. We can't change that. What we can, however, do is we can trust ourselves. And here are some ideas that I thought I'd bring up on the table tonight to get ourselves in a place where we can talk, in a place where we're not going to really worry that much. Not saying it won't happen, but I'm of the mindset that the healthier you are inside, here and here, the better off your chances are of living a long and successful life. So I'd like you to put in the comments, if you have suggestions, put them down. I'd like others to learn from watching this show. I'll get to the panel in just a minute. First of all, stay physically prepared. Your body is your best defense. The best thing you can do for yourself is stay physically fit. Stretch every day. Loosen up your back, your neck, your shoulders. These are the first places injuries will affect you the worst when you have accidents. Stay active. Even 10 or 15 minutes of movement every day can help improve your flexibility, your blood flow, keep you from suffering from stiffness from those long drives. We all can relate to that. Hydration, big thing. Dehydration increases fatigue and it slows you down and increases your chances of healing if you're involved in a crash. And it probably played a large part, judging by the man's physique, and not only, probably played a large part in the reason why he suffered as badly as he did. Not going to assume anything. I'm not a medical professional. And I'm not going to medically advise you on these. These are just my suggestions, things I know from the industry. While we're at it, get regular health checkups. Catch the problems before they happen. I've had people tell me several things over the years. None of them were true, but they had me get checked for them anyway, just to be on the safe side. And I fully believe they need to do that more often with us truckers, because there are things you and I have talked about, Thumper, that I'm sure you're probably going to highlight as soon as I'm done with this, that probably go a long way, especially when it comes to getting health checkups. I think more needs to be done in the arena you're familiar with, which is mental health. But I digress. Get a DOT physical, which you're required to do, but go beyond that. Get blood pressure and heart health. Get that up there. Get that monitored. I'm getting mine checked because I'm getting older. I don't want to wind up like that guy in Wytheville. Neck and spine alignment. Chiropractors aren't all that bad. A lot of people swear against them because they think they're the worst thing. But there are people that, doing the research speak highly of them. So, your backbone is is your thing. If it's out of whack, you're out of whack. So, and last but not least on the health thing, pay attention to your vision. When you lose that, you lose everything. If you have an emergency health plan, a lot of this becomes easier. Okay? If you're ever involved in a situation like that man in Wytheville, having people that got your back that can actually do like the man's sister did, that will save you. That may save your life in the case of this man. Carry a medical card with you. And not just your standard medical card. Have important information like your medical history, if any's pertinent, written on that. Your medications, if there are any required. Any emergency contacts. All that information, if you could put on one card, could be a life-saving thing. If you're ever incapacitated in an accident, they can find that information, make contact with the right people, and get you the treatment you so desperately need. Now, if I missed anything, do chime in. Let us know. Tell us in the comments if there's anything that you think truckers should know about preparing for an eventual problem, such as what we talked about today. Let us know in the comments. What you got there,
Up
Poet?
here, we have something called a green sleeve.
Okay, what's that?
It is a a green colored 11 by 8 sleeve where
Okay.
you put in all your information.
Okay.
I have one sitting on my fridge, which is
Mhm.
where EMS would expect to find it.
Yeah.
And I used to have one on the dash of my truck before I retired.
Okay. That's good. That's a good good thing to know. Appreciate you offering that. Bumper, what about you? Anything I missed? Anything you can add to it? I know you probably got quite a bit because I mean I touched on something you're big on. So
Well, yeah, mental
I'll give
health.
yep, I'll give you the floor on that if you'd like.
Um, talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be a psychiatrist or
No.
a shrink or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like that. I mean, I talk to a couple people every day. If they don't hear from me, they get a hold of me and they try to figure out, if I'm okay, whatever else.
Right. Yep.
And your mental health, if you're going to be all depressed and everything else, I mean, you got certain thoughts going through your head, and that's not good.
No, it
Tugging
ain't.
around an 80,000-pound piece of equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to stay pretty sharp with your mental health. Make sure you're getting enough rest like you're supposed to, and a lot of people don't understand is your diet actually affects your mental health also.
It
The
does.
healthier you eat, the more
Just
energy
like that
you got.
hydration thing I brought up. Same diet
Yeah,
too. Yep.
yeah. I mean, the healthier you eat, the more energy and everything else your body has, but also at the same time, it actually makes your brain sharper. And like every night before I go to bed, every morning I go to bed. But anyways, I take about 15 minutes to a half hour and I play word games. That helps your brain activity, helps your um reactions and all that other stuff too for while you're out on the road.
Yep.
The more you take care of yourself, the better off you're going to be.
That's true.
And yes, you could go get regular checkups and everything else too, but there are some stuff in this world that pops up out of the blue.
Yep. Yep.
And it just kind of all depends on how you. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. I hear that. Grumpy, what do you think? Did I miss anything? You got anything to add?
Well, as everybody knows that watches your show and my show, 24 plus years out here, you definitely got to watch your health. I
Yeah.
should be one speaking here on that because I've had all kinds of health issues within the last 10 years. And I've jumped through all kinds of hoops trying to keep my health up to where I can be able to continue driving because I like driving.
Yep.
It's not just a career for me. It's actually something that I enjoy doing. And I've went through heart surgery. I've had, you know, high blood pressure. I've had all that stuff. And I've gotten to where I'm getting a little more active as I get older. I'm only 45, but hey, you can't get any younger. So yes, it's a definite thing. You want to make sure that you go and see doctors. And I've got a friend that absolutely refuses to go see a doctor, just except for going and getting his physical done. And he worries me all the time. I constantly tell him, look, you have to go get checked out. Just go see someone. It's definite. You, you're a driver. Get yourself checked out. And it worries
Well,
me.
I certainly hope that that driver actually listens to sound advice because in this day and
Me
age,
too.
good advice doesn't come easy, but
Mm-mm.
it does come frequently. So I'll tell you, it comes good on this show. And you know what? The benefit is on this show, good advice is free. Guys, when it comes down to it, this isn't just about avoiding a lawsuit. like the Wytheville case, it's about making sure that you're in the best possible place and condition to dictate what happens to you on a daily basis. And it's not hard to figure out. When it comes down to it, you are the captain of your own vessel. You have to make your own decisions. You keep tuned in, subscribe to this channel, and hopefully you can make those decisions with a sound mind. Thumper, you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100% I do. I mean, take care of yourself, you do a better job. Simple as that. And
Yeah.
stand up for what's right. If you think you're in the right, you got proof to do it. Make sure you keep on doing it, but do it in a respectful way. Don't be a ignorant prick, because then that'll just get you in more trouble.
Don't want that.
Well, so I mean, that's just kind of how it is. So,
Yep.
God bless everybody out there, firefighters, EMTs, police department. Even though our story was about the police department, but they're there to
Not all got your back.
protect us just like anybody else.
Yep.
Military, hopefully everybody's doing wonderful with this new administration in, and we can only get better from here. So, as Bo and I always say, we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Well said, my friend. God bless you. Appreciate the kind words for that. Look, when it comes down to it, we're all in this together. We need to think of each other. We need to watch it, make sure we do the same job every time. This show will be here fighting for you every chance we get. Be sure and check us out every time we come live on the weekend. We're here. Become a subscriber. Learn more about our one code, one road policy. A united community, we can stand a better chance of making trucking great again. Leave us a comment. Let us know what we can change to do better or what you think of today's show. And remember, guys, it's the truck that makes the delivery, but it's you that makes the difference. Until next time, keep your faith. Stay safe. By all means, keep rolling.